Welcome back to the State and Local Sports Show here with Mark Tennis of Cal High Sports. We're at our first ever remote podcast. We are at the Sac-Joaquin Section Media Day here in Lodi at the section office. Just wolfed down about 1,200 calories worth of free food, feeling good. We're talking about some changes in the section this year after 30 years of boys basketball and 16 years of girls basketball section title games being at Arco Arena or Power Bounce Pavilion or Sleep Train Arena in Sacramento. They are now moving to Spanish Center, so big news for the city of Stockton, University of the Pacific. I'm a big proponent of it, and I have been. I just think the atmosphere, a really pretty gym, but a smaller kind of venue lends itself to a better environment, and the section's communication director, Will Ward, says there is the trade-off where they don't get that the mystique of an NBA arena, and that is too bad. But what were your thoughts, Mark, when you heard about that change?
I've heard about that in the works, and it's a good thing for a lot of the schools involved. The only major worry or the concern I would have is that when you get two teams from the Sacramento area that are playing in Stockton for a championship, that could be that could limit a lot of the fans from being there. So, and the game would be on some sort of TV on NFHS network or something, and that might limit the atmosphere. But certainly if you had a Modesto Christian in that game on the boys' side, St. Mary's girls on the girls' side, it's really good. And, a lot of the Modesto Christian boys in the last couple of years, they've ended up going to UOP. So that's a good thing.
Another thing of note from the media day is a divisional change this year in football. The San Joaquin Athletic Association, after some struggles against upper division teams from out of their own league, will be considered a Division III league now, meaning that McNair would not have to play in Division I. And it's interesting, they looked at last year, if they had used this year's enrollment, McNair would have been a Division III team. And imagine that with Darian Graham and Osai Brown. It would have been fascinating to watch against some of those old school Division III teams. As this is as news to you as well, what is your impression?
Well, we've talked about that in the past, the idea of teams like Stag having to play Granite Bay or Stag having to play Folsom, or et cetera, et cetera. We're not going to be able to have to worry about that anymore, and that's a good thing. They're going to be playing teams more in their more natural rivals and more in their natural type of program that they are, and that's a good thing. And I think those are things we've talked about, and it's good. It's all good. That's good.
One more note, and this will not take place until 2018, 2019. It could be kind of brutal for football players. The entire sports calendar will be moved back a week, so that means football practice starting right at the beginning of August. That means 2 football games in August, and someone pointed out at the meeting just now, a few years ago, there were no football games in August. Didn't start till September. I think this might make life a little bit easier for the state track and field championship since it's in scalding Clovis at the end of the year. But for the football guys, and thankfully we're not a humid state like a Texas or an Arkansas, this is just a little bit more kind of trying triple-digit practices. And I don't think a lot of coaches or players are going to like this, and I can't blame them.
No, that's true. This is a trend that we've seen not just in California, but all over the country in school years starting earlier. This is a reaction to the educational system. Stockton Unified has already been in for 3 weeks. So I mean, there's definitely things have been going in that direction in the educational world. More of a rounded year schedule, and you're seeing school districts start earlier. And there's just been a push to start the sports earlier. And the biggest concern is the heat in the summer. But the trade-off is, the state football bowl games are now going to be ending a week earlier. And we actually can enjoy Christmas a little more than before, than going right into it. And the whole school year is going to be moved around for a week. And it's more in line with what you see around the country, not just in sports, but in education.
Mark does a weekly column for us at The Record, recordnet.com. As we had not just in the high school football season, but NFL season, you took a look at a few area guys who are in the NFL and who have some pretty massive potential this year.
I think it's kind of amazing. I also did a list for Channel 40 for their high school football show about the top 5 current players in the Sac-Joaquin section in the NFL, and it's amazing how Stockton sort of dominates the list. And when you read a little bit more on players like Doug Martin, who was second in the league in rushing last year, Trumaine Johnson, who had 7 interceptions, and he's got a franchise tag now by the Rams, and he's being, ballyhooed as one of the top young up-and-coming corners in the NFL. Julius Thomas, the way he played the last month and a half of the season after he had a broken hand early in the season. He was great. And, of course, Brandon Cooks caught 84 passes. ESPN said he's going to be the breakout star of the Saints, even though he caught 84 passes last year. But, I mean, you look at all those things, and these four guys could all be, all NFL, all pro type guys, play in the Pro Bowl. And, you're talking about cities like Miami and L.A. and Dallas that have 3-4 guys that good, and Stockton definitely has 3-4 guys that good, and that's not, of course, everybody from the Stockton area who's in the NFL. There are other players, but those four in particular have a chance this year to have, I think, really good seasons.
Now, Week 0 football is Friday. Some really huge games for area teams out of area. First of all, we have Lincoln at Antioch on Friday night. Antioch has Najee Harris. He is considered the top running back in the nation. He's an Alabama commit, over 2,700 yards last year. He was Cal High Sports Mr. Football. And Antioch as a team is very talented. They're ranked number 2 in the Bay Area by Bay Area News Group, number 4 by the San Francisco Chronicle. We know Lincoln can score, but can they score enough and keep Najee off the field enough? That's the question.
That's the question. I don't think they'll be able to score enough, but they're going to score, I think, with their new offense and the athletes that they have. And Antioch did give up a lot of points in some of their games last year. So this is the game I'm going to because it's Najee Harris's first game, and I think he's going to be playing into the second half. I don't think it's going to be a situation where he's going to be, they're going to be cruising at halftime and he's gone. I think he's going to be playing into the second half. Lincoln's going to score some points. Antioch's going to score a lot of points. So it could be a really big opening game for Najee going up against Lincoln. It might be one of those 300-400 yard, 6 touchdown, even more type of performances, and that's why I want to see it.
St. Mary's going to Sarah of San Mateo on Saturday afternoon. And by the way, I believe it's Antioch is number 3 ranked in the Bay Area by both those outlets. Sarah is number 2 by Bay Area News Group and number 4 by the San Francisco Chronicle. They've got a very experienced, talented passing attack, and just the thought of that Saturday afternoon road game. And everyone looks at St. John Bosco on St. Mary's schedule, and rightfully so, because that's the one that's more of a national power. But Tom Brady High here cannot be overlooked, especially on the afternoon environment.
No, to me, they're Patrick Walsh High. He's been the coach there now for, almost 10 years. A former De La Salle player, and he always has those teams ready. There was one year on a Saturday afternoon where De La Salle played at Sarah and won by 1 point and probably should have lost the game. Sarah definitely outplayed him that day. And they're going to play De La Salle in their second game. And this is a big test for St. Mary's right off the bat. Sarah's got a real physical team. They have a 360-pound offensive tackle. A junior is supposed to be coming on really good. They've got some new guys in the line. They're moving some guys around. They have a very versatile quarterback, Lecky Nunn, who is the West Catholic League Player of the Year as a junior. So this is a big test for St. Mary's. On the other hand, St. Mary's is a huge test for Sarah, and I think the Coach Walsh and his staff, they know what they're up against. So this is, to me, if this game was on Friday night instead of Saturday, that would be the game I'd be going to in all of Northern California. So it's a big game. We have St. Mary's 13th in the state and Sarah 21st. So these are 2 state-ranked teams going at it in their first game.
And if you're St. Mary's, I think some of their advantages come on the size and the experience of the line. I would give it to their junior running back, Dusty Frampton, try to keep that Sarah passing offense off the field, control the tempo of the game. If you go over to CaliSports.com, the Gold Club membership, all of your state record books, rankings, insider content, less than $2 a month, less than $20 a year. Thanks for joining us from our first ever Lodi-based state and local sports show, Mark.
Sounds good. Thanks, Thomas.